Welcome to Crown Financial Ministries. My name is Moses. Here at Crown, we offer trainings to subsistence farmers in conservation agriculture. And one of our main thrusts is recycling of organic waste. And this area behind me is an area where we do our recycling. And if you look to my left, you see we have three different toilets. The first one is the EcoSun toilet, and the one after that is the earthworm toilet, the tiger worm toilet, where we use tiger worms to consume our waste and turn that into compost. And our last toilet unit is the urine separation unit, where we are separating the urine from the fecal matter. And the fecal matter is decomposed and used as an organic fertilizer in our gardens. And also the urine is a very rich source of phosphorus and nitrogen that we can use as a liquid fertilizer in our gardens as well. So in this section, we have our thermal composting section, where we bring all our organic waste and reuse it into a usable product, which is the final compost. And beyond that, we have what we came to see, which is our black soldier fly farm. Follow me. So the structure that you see here is our black soldier fly farm, and it was sponsored to us by Stirling University in Scotland in support of one of their master's students a couple of years ago. And ever since then, we have done a lot of research and experimentation in developing the ways we can fully harness these flies and give us the best possible yields with the environment that we have here in Blantyre. Let's go inside and see how we do it. So this section of our farm is what we call the Levarium. But before I explain what's happening here, I just want to tell you how we established this colony that we have. We got wild soldier flies from the environment by simply putting out organic waste that was rotting, and the wild flies laid their eggs in there. And then we were able to then harvest them and bring them inside. Ever since then, the colony has been growing very, very exponentially, and we have more than 30 containers, and they're not enough to contain the numbers of the flies that are being laid right now. So behind me here is our love nest, where the adults get together and mate and lay eggs. Now, our love nest is just one unit because we have found that it is easily replicated in the rural areas where the farmers may want to replicate this model. So all the adults, they will be put in one unit, they will mate, and then they will lay their eggs in the love cage. So these larvae that you see in this container are about 6 to 7 days old, and after this we introduce them to a rich food source, and the food source is whatever is available in that season. So right now it's avocado season. We have a lot of avocado, and we also have a lot of organic maize waste that is available. So we use that as our feed, and each container that you see here represents a different day of harvest. It represents a different generation, and they take about 14 to 18 days, depending on the quality of feed, to mature. And then after they mature, we then harvest them. All right, I just want to show you the different stages of growth that we have here. So if you look at this container, I'll open up. You see that the larvae are a bit bigger in size. So these ones are about 10 to 12 days old. And as you can see, they have grown in size and are very close to maturation. I'll also show you a later stage of growth that we have. Now this container has larvae that are pretty close to maturation, and if you look closely you can actually see that some of them are starting to change in color as a sign of maturation. So when they have fully matured, we'll then harvest them. Harvesting is simply separating the larvae from the substrate, and we use a sieve to do that. Okay, so our harvesting process is very simple. It simply requires two things: the sieve that you see here and an empty drum that we have cut into half and put in a stand. So what I do is I simply place the sieve on top, and then I bring in some matured larvae that we have gathered together, and I simply place on the sieve, and the larvae will start falling into the drum. So I'll then spread the food and the larvae around so that they have enough space to move and to fall in. So after 10 to 15 minutes, most of the larvae will have self-harvested themselves into this drum. And after that, I simply remove this sieve. So at this stage, just before they pupate, this is when we can harvest them and feed them to our livestock, such as chicken, fish, or even pigs. The next thing I do is I introduce them into their pupation substrate, which is simply river sand that we've put in a bucket. I gather my larvae and I simply pour them into the bucket, and with time they will start to crawl into the sand. We then place a mosquito net over the lid, and we then seal it with the lid. So the reason we do this is to make sure that oxygen keeps on penetrating in our system so that our larvae are breathing even as they pupate. And after we have finished harvesting, we simply put this bucket in our pupation shelf. They will last about 14 days here as they pupate. After they have emerged as adults, we'll then reintroduce them into the love cage for them to mate and repopulate our colony. So you simply open the lid and then you release them into the love nest. So we do this process about twice a day. And periodically we'll come in here and spray with water so that they're well hydrated and have enough water to drink. So we have these green plants here so that they offer a surface for the flies to mate, and also for the flies to have a feel like they are in nature. Because what they do in nature is they like to come and mate on green leaves in the environment. So we're just trying to mimic the environment that we find naturally in nature. So this area is our attractant area. We simply place rotting organic waste in a container. And what the flies like to do in nature is they like to lay their eggs close to a food source. And for them to know that a food source is good, it has to be smelling really, really bad. So we find this smelly stuff from our bins, and then we simply put strips of cardboard cartons stacked together, and the flies will come and lay their eggs. Okay. So from this one fly, you can expect between 600 to 800 eggs, depending on the size. So after the fly has laid its eggs, once every day we come in and we collect our eggies that have been filled with eggs. And what we do is we simply attach it to the lid and twist so that it's secured. And inside there will be a food source for the larvae to eat once they start hatching. And after that, we simply close it up and then put it back on the shelf. And then the cycle continues. After about 3 to 5 days, the eggs will hatch and the larvae will start eating the food that we give them. Okay. Now, in the past 2 years of doing this project, we've faced many challenges. And one of our biggest challenges is the challenge of pests. We have birds that come around and try to eat the adult flies as they emerge. So to prevent that, we have surrounded the entire farm with our shade cloth, and that prevents birds from entering. And we also make sure that our door is closed at all times to prevent birds from entering. The other problem that we face is with lizards. Lizards, they tend to crawl through small spaces within our shade net. So after it rains, we need to make sure that all the openings are covered so that lizards do not have access to entry inside. And another challenge that we face is with ants. Ants would try and crawl into the love cage or into our containers and eat our larvae. So to prevent that, we make sure that we pour oil, used car oil, over the holes that the ants crawl out of. And we also put our shelves, we suspend our shelves in containers filled with oil to prevent the ants from accessing our larvae. So our second challenge is with climate control. Because our sanctuary is a very low cost energy input system, we do not require any energy to heat it up. No, let's start again. So our second problem is with climate control. Because the farm that we are running here, we do not want to use any external sources of heat or to warm it up. We try and use whatever nature has. And so we have put plastic sheets around to control and to try and keep the heat inside on cold days. And also we have a tin roof that keeps the sun out on hot days. So it's very important to maintain a constant temperature, because if the temperature fluctuates too much, it will affect the performance of the flies. So we try and keep the temperature as stable as we can. The third and the biggest challenge that we face is with our food source. So what we have here is whatever is available to us. And this time of year we have access to maize husks that are left when maize is milled. So we use that as one of our ingredients. And also because it's avocado season, we have plenty of avocados that have fallen and rotting. So we gather these, we simply squeeze them, and then we mix the two together, and they give us a very nutritious feed that allows us to harvest mature and healthy larvae. So having mentioned all the problems that we encounter, you can ask, why are we still pursuing this project? Well, I'll tell you. One of the main reasons we continue this project is because the larvae are a very nutritious and cheap source of protein, vitamins, fat, and other amino acids that we can then supplement as a source of feed to our livestock. The black soldier flies decompose our kitchen waste, which we would have otherwise thrown away, and they turn it into a valuable compost that we can re-put on our compost pile and turn that into an organic fertilizer. So the third and final reason why we're pursuing this project is because we understand that in Malawi, the unemployment rate for the youth especially is very high. And this technology that we're developing here is a simple piece of technology that can be easily replicated in any area and allow the youth to be empowered and create an employment opportunity for them and their communities. So having said all that, we invite you here at Crown in Blantyre to come and see our black soldier fly farm. But when you come, you'll also see other things, such as our worm farming, our thermicompost that we have seen already, our worm toilets. We also have bees that we're keeping for honey. We also do mushroom production. We do organic vegetable production. We also do conservation agriculture. And on top of that, we have a cheese factory here. So come and taste some cheese. We can't wait to see you.